All right, guys, so I get approached all the time by guys wanting to start their own lawn care business, but they want the truth about what they can expect to make as a solo guy in a day. I mean, everybody can go and reverse engineer the numbers of X amount of lawns times, this much per lawn, but like, what is the reality of it? And this is typically coming from somebody who is wanting the experience of somebody who's been through it. Like, I've been through it. Like, what is actually the reality of starting the lawn business? What can a solo guy really expect to do before he adds employees and everything? They're wanting to quit a job. It's a valid concern. Like, I totally get it. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to break down like a realistic expectation for anyone wanting to start a lawn care business. I want to give you a few highlights based on my experience. So right out of the gate, the very first question you have to ask yourself, this is very important, this always gets overlooked, is you have to ask yourself, like, what is your ideal lawn size? Every market has them, okay? But you have to zero in on that, because if you're going to be targeting big lawns, small lawns, and you don't even know like what the ideal lawn in your market is, like, we just need to stop the video. Like, you're not thinking correctly yet. Like, we need to first identify what is the ideal lawn in our market, okay? So once you have figured that out, okay, then we can start reverse engineering some numbers and talk about some tips. But in my market, we are focused on the quarter acre to half acre properties, okay? And I can tell you that at that particular lot size, 8 to 12 lawns a day as a solo guy is probably going to be your sweet spot. Now, before everybody starts freaking out, I go and cutting 15, 18 lawns a day by myself. Look, I get it. I understand. I've done that. Back in the day, whenever I was building my business, I could go out and do $750 a day. Cutting 15 lawns, at $50 a pop. Like, I could do that, okay? But what I'm talking about is having staying power. Doing that is not sustainable, okay? And again, like, what we want to talk about is like, okay, if you can kill yourself and do 15, like, what is the sustainable thing to do, okay? And again, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So 8 to 12 in my particular market, based on my ideal lot size, is reasonable for a solo guy. And if you're going to like run the average, let's say $50 or $55 a lawn, you could comfortably expect to make, I would say, $600 is 100% a reasonable goal for a solo guy to make per day. There's a lot of variables that go into that. Of course, you're not actually bringing home $600 a day, but $600 a day, that's getting after it, okay? But you can absolutely do that. Okay, just a little pause in this video and a quick note about this area right here is that, okay, look how terrible this lawn looks. I want to do a video on how ugly lawns pay the bills. Like, it's easy to get caught up in the super pretty lawns, but this is just a side note in this video, guys, that look, the lawns don't have to be beautiful to be huge money makers. And I just want to make a point in this video, like, this is an example of our ideal lawn. And I'll show you how horrible this lawn looks in the backyard, but you have to know your numbers and how long it's actually taking you. That's another rabbit hole altogether, but I just wanted to mention that. Also, if you do enjoy these videos, a like is just the number one way to support me on this channel. I would really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much. So you are deciding, hey, that sounds pretty good. I want to do this. Like, okay, here are a few of the highlights, some mistakes that I see, and some things that I just want to I want to hit the highlights. Like, if you want to deep dive into this stuff and you want to start a lawn business, there's tons of resources down in my description, where I do a deep dive in TurfProsAcademy on actually full-blown lawn business startup. But what we're discussing here is like the guy who's like, hey, I want the highlights of like, I want to do this, but what's the reality of here? Okay, the first thing is this. I think being an efficient operator gets overlooked. We always talk about having a super efficient equipment, and that is super important. I have a video where I talk about how important that is, and I'll link that here in a minute. But having a operator who knows what the heck he's doing on the machine, like, that is a huge deal. Like, whenever I first started, I had a buddy who started the business at the same time. He had the identical, just about a similar setup as what I had, and he was struggling so bad. He just could not mow the volume of lawns that I could mow, and it was simply because he hadn't racked up enough experience. Like, there's just all these little knick-knack things, guys, that just you learn over the years that really speeds you up. And again, if you're starting out of the gate you need to expect there to be a little bit of a learning curve, and you can't compare yourself to the seasoned operator who can go out there and bang out 15 lawns in a day, because he's done it, for 15 years, and he's completely efficient. Like, you're not going to be able to do that without, hitting some struggles along the way, okay? So number one is an efficient operator that's overlooked all the time, okay? The second is optimized routes, and we've all heard of route density, but I had a perspective the other day that I thought was it was very simple, and I like to keep things super simple. But in simplest terms, it's this: I want clusters of yards at every stop. I don't want to look at my route for the day and see I have stops all over town. I want to see clusters of yards. Where this came from is me and my wife Jamie. We were picking berries around our homestead the other day. And it just dawned on me, like, I kind of laughed. It's like, I will not go into the briars, like, if I see a lone dewberry hanging out in there. I'm not doing it. I'm not getting cut up, getting my legs scraped up. It's not worth it, right? But if I see a cluster of berries in there, and she'll push me into the whole briar bush, right? To go, like, I'm going in there. I'm getting those. There's a cluster. It's worth it, okay? The mother lode is in there, right? That is, and I laugh because that is literally the same way that I view the lawns. It's like, look at your schedule. How many clusters do you have on your schedule? If you don't have clusters, man, you don't have a profitable business, and that's just the truth of it. Like, if you do think you have a profitable business and you don't have clusters, if you can figure out a way to start putting clusters together, you're going to actually make some real money in this industry. Okay, the third thing is this, and this is overlooked all the time. It's something that, it's not cool and sexy to talk about, but we're talking about the truth. I'm giving it to you real, is this. It's recovery. Dude, if you are not recovering from what you're doing in the evenings, like eating well, rehydrating, sleeping well, you're not going to make it, and if you do somehow manage to get through this line of work, you're going to be miserable. Like, you absolutely have to prioritize your health every single day. It's non-negotiable, okay? This work is too hard, and the reality is like, you need to be an efficient operator, you need to have clusters of lawns, and you need to recover. Like, that's it. Like, in a nutshell, if you want to start a lawn business and do really well, that's it. If you want a deep dive on how to do a high volume of lawns every day, give this video a look.